All right, and we are live. Cool. Okay. Well, hey guys, good to see y'all. We're gonna give everyone a couple minutes to jump in here, and then we'll kind of jump into this. I guess so. Before we start, a couple things, a couple housekeeping things I want to tell you guys is yesterday I did not get a video out. That's because I thought I had one uploaded and edited, and I guess I got distracted midway through the process, so I didn't get it in. So that one will come out actually this week sometime. So I apologize for not getting that video to you guys. Also, did a video a while back, and people have gotten kind of upset about this, and I'm trying to remember now exactly what it was. Um, no, 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 no. It was uh, um, the one where I was talking about Norway and how Norway is now monitoring food, and everybody's like, "Well, they're doing it here and here and here, and you're stupid because you don't know that it's done at Walmart and Costco and everywhere else." And that's completely different than what I was talking about. What I was talking about is the government is now in Norway is mandating those stores turn over that data to the government, and so the government can track food purchases, which is substantially different than a private entity tracking the purchases that you make inside their establishment under your own will and everything. And you agree to those terms when you signed up for your Costco card. So that's substantially different than what I was talking about in that Norway video. So just realize and I'm not crazy about them tracking it either, but until the government mandates them turn over that data, that's a completely different thing. And so I just wanted to be kind of clear on that. Okay, so let's jump into this. We got a number of things going on. Hang on, let me get my notes here. Okay, so the first thing to talk about is, well, we can't talk about the actual Supreme Court decision because we'll get blacklisted, but we will talk about the riots going on right now, and kind of what we think is going to happen. I didn't want to play into this at first because I was kind of hoping things would die down, but it looks like we're just continuing to have issues, and it's escalating across the country. And I don't know if it's going to be as bad as like the George Floyd issue or not. But anyway, so just kind of one of those things to stay prepared for, and be mindful of. And one of the articles that we had read the other day was actually there's a huge rise of private citizens and minority gun ownership, which is really really cool. Yeah, it's they broke down the ethnicities and everything on the article as far as who's purchasing what. But it looks like a lot of people are preparing for these riots, preparing for more civil unrest. And I think it's just going to get worse. And especially, there's a lot of people that believe that the Supreme Court decision is leading up to another one, which I don't buy that, because I think that I know it doesn't matter what one justice says. It's more important when you have disagreement with multiple on there, then yeah, maybe you can make that argument. But they were very clear in the ruling that only is to affect Roe v. Wade, does not affect anything else, and does not affect any other ruling. So I'd be very surprised if we see another ruling come out of that, using that same logic on some of these other things that people are concerned with. And if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, you can go Google what Clarence Thomas has said about it, and that'll show up for you. But I think the biggest thing that you can do is making sure that your house and your farm or whatever is set up well to be ready for riots coming through, and just making sure that you're in a safe capacity. Yeah, churches.
The churches are being targeted too, and pro-life centers. So if you live anywhere near one of those establishments, just be aware.
You guys see our new Ironside water bottles? Isn't that cool? If you do a green water bottle in front of a green screen, it disappears. Okay, so anyways, things that you can do to kind of harden your house is, making sure that you have decent quality deadbolts, that you got the 3.5-inch screws going in your hinges and in your deadbolts. They make I forget what they're called, but they're on Amazon. They're basically little brace things that go at the foot of the door. So even if somebody were to kick past and get the deadbolt open, it has another stop there. Because really, what you're trying to do is you're trying to buy yourself time so that you have time to respond. You're not trying to make it an impenetrable fortress. And there's obviously like security films and stuff like that you can look at for the windows, which are a great option. Hey, Mary, good to see you. But anyway, so there's lots of options there that you can do to kind of fortify your house. Looking at things like, if you got old floodlights, time to update them. Time to buy some new ones. You can put motion detectors on some of them. I know we're getting ready to add some more cameras. They have wireless cameras now that you can use at your farm. If you've got property leading up to you, put gates up, that sort of thing. So now is certainly the time to be looking at that and doing as much as you can. And all this stuff is expensive, so we're
Takes
kind of
time.
in the same boat as y'all. Where it takes time to get it done, but there's a few very reasonable things that you can do for $100, and that's like I said, updating floodlights, making sure you got bulbs in them, putting those bigger screws, 3.5-inch deck screws in door jambs and stuff like that to really secure the doors. Um,
Hey, Lane.
Lane, cool. Got somebody in Talladega. That's me.
Yay.
Thanks.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, man, we'd love to link up
Hmm.
sometime. That'd be a
That'd
lot
be
of fun.
fun.
So we need to do at some point in time. We'll do a meetup here somewhere in Birmingham or something, and try to meet some of y'all. But maybe we'll see if we can get some other channels on that as well. Um, okay, so moving forward, those are things that you can do to prepare for the riots. But really, it doesn't look like the riots are going to get much worse than what they are, because
Hopefully.
I don't see like this huge momentum building with them. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I'm not seeing a huge momentum building with them. We're seeing kind of this level, and it's just kind of staying here. And then I think it's probably just going to taper off. But I don't know. Maybe
Yeah, I
maybe
don't
I'm
know.
wrong,
I don't know.
but we're not seeing the momentum like we did under the George Floyd thing. Um, so, anyways, let's talk about some things that though could contribute to this, and could cause further escalation of this. So we've got the Irish Prime Minister. This is according to Breitbart. He's put out the other day that the lack of oil and gas from Russia is going to cause a harsh winter. I think all of the EU is going to be seeing a really, really dark winter, very high fuel costs, very hard to heat your home, and try to keep up with it. But I think what it really bothered me more than that, I don't know if you read the whole article, but the European Parliament, and you'll excuse me because I'm not great on my how the governments work over there. I don't keep up with all of that because they've got different governments and they all fall under the EU. But European Parliament, which I guess is the EU's governing body, is tightening regulations on some of the green regulations on energy, which is going to make that a lot worse
And
because
more expensive.
it's already going to be increasing the price on it and making it less accessible. So if you guys have fuel tanks, stuff like that on your farm,
Wood, go out and cut
yeah,
wood.
now it's time to keep that up. Yeah, yeah. If you wood stove, I mean, we paid like $700 for our wood stove. That was a
It's
couple of
been
years ago,
amazing.
but it's been unreal to have it. So definitely something to consider.
Yeah.
Anything else on that? You want
Chime in. No, we love our wood stove. Our energy bill goes way down in the wintertime. And then if we leave or something, we just turn the heat on real low.
Yeah, it's kind of weird being in Alabama having a wood stove. Nobody else does.
Yeah,
but,
very few people in Alabama
everywhere up
do,
north you have it,
but yeah, I didn't grow up with a wood stove, so it was a nice learning curve. You have a video on how to light a wood stove.
Yeah, I
It's
have
a really
old
old video. But yeah, you can cook on it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the Irish Prime Minister talking about all this, with the Irish Prime Minister telling us that he believes that we're headed towards it. We've had the same warnings from Joe Biden. We've had other heads of different states and countries telling us that we are heading towards a very, very harsh winter. Now we're going to talk about the recession here in a little bit and kind of what's going on with them. And so we'll have a little bit more topic on this here in just a minute. But bottom line is everybody's telling us this is going to be a rough winter. Now is the time to prepare for that. So, one of the things that we're doing is we're paying like our minimum on our mortgage, which normally we've always paid our mortgage down like it was a 10-year mortgage, trying to get it done. And but now we're actually paying the minimum payment on it, setting that money aside for other things, whether that's gold, silver, crypto, whether that's certain stocks that we believe in, certain investments, or just food. Yeah, right now food,
toothpaste, deodorant,
tampons, apparently.
Tampons, pads. Yeah.
Y'all never thought we'd have the great toilet paper shortage of 2020. Now we got the great tampon shortage of 2022. So
stock up while you can.
Yeah. Time to get some stuff going on that end of things. And it's not expensive, guys. It's really not to buy a year's worth of toothpaste. You should be able to do that this month. Sorry, my nose is itching, but I need to shave. So but you should stock up on toothpaste, and I mean because it's just not that much. Figure out how much you go through every month, multiply by 12, and then buy it. Be done with it. Get the same thing with your deodorant and your pads and your feminine hygiene products.
Yes.
Get set up with that stuff. It's just, but for one, if we're wrong, you're still beating inflation by getting
Yeah.
it now, and starting to
Mhm.
cycle through that. But don't forget about your pets. That's something that we were talking
Yeah,
about.
the dog food shortages.
We try to make pet food if we can, but it's so hard, and it's expensive because you have to use a lot of meat. And so if you don't have a good source of some cheap meat, something like the
Mhm.
offal and stuff like that left
Mhm.
over from cattle, that can be a little bit difficult. But anyway, so don't neglect your pets. Don't forget about them because it is certainly something that you'll need to take care of.
Mhm.
But I think as you start seeing riots on top of this, because I think there's going to be more riots coming, especially after the
Because of
midterm
the gas
elections.
prices. Yeah.
Yeah, baby wipes. Oh yeah, great point, Lane. Yeah, baby
Oh,
wipes. If you have, whether you have a
diapers and
baby or
baby wipes.
not, baby wipes are so useful.
Yeah.
We will never not have baby wipes
Yeah.
around now, but yeah, but baby wipes are definitely a big one. Keep that your supply of baby wipes and diapers if you can do it, and that is expensive.
That is really expensive. Yeah.
Especially if you have more than one kid, man, that'd be rough.
Yeah.
But
And of course, formula.
yeah.
But they're limiting how much you can buy on that right now if you can find it.
So,
But
and Lane made a great point. He talks about batteries, and so I'm gonna kind of push back on you here for just a second. But the reason that I don't stock a year's worth of batteries is because we've gone to things being as rechargeable as possible because it saves you the money on the batteries. And if you've got a generator for your house, you have the ability to recharge those. A lot of them you can recharge from your vehicles. We have to drive so much for work that I mean, pretty much no matter what the fuel prices are, we have to do it because our business is mobile, and so we have inverters set up in the vehicles that charge like flashlights and stuff like that. It's all really well set up. So that's the reason that we don't do it. If you're not set up that way, if you don't have a generator, if you're not like us, where you're road warriors and have to spend your life in your car, then certainly having batteries would be a great option. Yeah, Pete. Instead of
Mhm.
paper towels, reusable cloth towels. We have.
That's what we
That's what
generally
we
do.
try to do. Yeah, is use as much reusable cloth towels as we
Mhm.
can. Paper towels are just, and we do it mostly for the budget
Yeah, I
aspect
don't
of
want
it.
to
Paper
keep buying
towels are just
paper towels.
expensive, and they're getting more and more. And so, um, it's like everything else going up. Berkey water filters, that's a great thing.
Yeah.
We tried to get an affiliate link with Berkey because we have a Berkey. We love our Berkey.
Mhm.
And there's different water filters out there. I know a lot of y'all came over to us from Economic Ninja, and so you
He
follow
loves
him.
his.
He loves his water filter, but we really love our Berkey.
Mhm.
We do all of our water through all of our drinking water goes
Mhm.
through the Berkey.
Yeah.
And it worked really well. When you're doing baby formula, you're supposed
Yeah.
to do baby formula with the
Distilled
thank
water.
you, the distilled water. But we bought the Berkey because we're like, this will actually pay for itself by the time we're out
Yeah.
of formula if we don't have to do distilled water. So
Mhm.
Berkey water filters are great, especially you're seeing. I think it was down in Texas. They had a boil alert. We got one in Alabama,
We get
South
them all the
Alabama.
time in
There was a boil
Alabaster.
alert. Yeah,
Yeah.
there was a boil alert just in down in Mobile just a
Mhm.
little bit ago. So, um, anyways, having the Berkey is a huge
Yeah.
benefit there, and it really does clean it.
Mhm.
6 gallon, 3. Wow. So Pete's got several Berkeys. Do y'all have antibiotics? Where did y'all get them? Okay. So I was always really just when I was in Afghanistan, they prescribed us different medications for malaria, right? And so the government gave everybody enough malaria medicine for a year, which meant that guys got doxycycline and they got a year's worth of supply of doxycycline to take one pill a day. And I got Malarone, which Malarone can only be used for malaria treatment. It can't be used for anything else. But a lot of guys got doxycycline, so they were like stored up for years with antibiotics. I was so jealous. But antibiotics are hard to get, but they're not impossible. You can buy antibiotics from Tractor Supply. It's the exact same thing. So this is one of the things that we kind of benefit from. So my father was a veterinarian, and then he became a people doctor afterwards. So got a lot of college. But so we talked to him about medicines all the time and he was telling us that I mean it's the exact same thing. The penicillin they sell at Tractor Supply for $10 is the exact same shot you get when you go to the whatever doc in the box, urgent care, or whatever, and they charge you $200 to get it. 100% the same thing. So there are ways around the antibiotics. If you have livestock, you can get antibiotics usually from your vet to keep on hand. And again, they're the same things. If you need something,
we aren't medical doctors.
Yeah, we are not doctors.
We're not
we are
prescribing
not,
anything.
Yeah, and don't want to confuse that. We're not giving you guys medical advice,
No
but if you were gonna stock up for something to be used only in the case of an emergency, then I know people use the fish tank antibiotics. I've never done that, but I mean, people swear by it and
Yeah.
they treat themselves all the time with it. But yeah, but there's ways to get the antibiotics. But we've found just keeping the livestock antibiotics on hand, because if we get a cow that gets tetanus or whatever, and we need to take care of something, or we had
Yeah.
pigs for a while.
Pneumonia.
Yeah, we had with the pneumonia, we had to treat them with oxytetracycline, and so we were able to keep some on hand from that. So having a little bit of that on hand, things like your medical, like your iodine, stuff like that, obviously very important to being able to clean minor cuts, and realize that everybody likes to buy the cool stuff in case you get shot, but the chances are that mostly what you're going to be dealing with is small puncture wounds and
Mhm.
cuts and stuff like that. I mean, it's like that puncture wound I got in my finger. Remember that
Yeah,
one?
that took forever to
And
heal.
well, it was a puncture wound. It got infected within just a couple hours, and my finger locked up. I couldn't use it at all, and it was swollen like that big. And we had to get on antibiotics to fix that. I would have
Mhm.
lost my finger otherwise. So,
Mhm.
um, okay. So basically, we are already in without rule of law situation in Dallas. Crowley, give me a little bit more information on that. What's
Are
going on
you
in
down in
Dallas?
Dallas?
Courts are dangerously corrupt, the communists to the core. Yeah, that's bad, man. What's if there's something specific going on down there, let us know. Put it in the
Yeah,
in the comment box there. Jace Medical is the
that's for
yeah, I think you
antibiotics.
mean best for antibiotics. Jace Medical.
I don't know
Okay,
Jace.
I've never shopped with them. That's from TNT. He put that out there. So y'all
Okay.
check that out, and you can see what Jace Medical says about it.
Mhm.
But certainly time to stock up on that. If you go over to Goshen Prepping, he was actually a physician, and so he has some great stuff on
Yeah,
medical supplies.
yeah.
If you guys ever want to check his channel out, it's a good one. Um, have you ever listened to or read When You're in Hell? It's the guy who survived the Bosnian War. I recommend it if you haven't. I have not. We'll
No.
definitely check that one
Yeah.
out, though. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Okay, let's see. So we talked about the Irish Prime Minister. Okay, so I wanted to move on. So we'll move on a little bit more to economics, and because this is all going to come back in play as we see the decline of the dollar and everything, and the decline of the other world currencies. But I don't think we're going to see the decline of the other world currencies as near as much as I guess. I think that's one thing that I probably disagree with Economic Ninja on, and nothing against him. I love his channel. He's
Yeah,
he's
he's our
forgotten
favorite
more
channel.
than we'll ever know, but. Um, he talks about right now, he always uses the analogy that the dollar is the best smelling turd in the punch bowl, which is just a really gross analogy.
But it's
But
true.
so Russia and China are developing a new reserve currency, and it's for all the BRICS nations. And so they're going to
That's like
start.
gold too.
Well, it's backed by all their individual currencies.
Okay.
So it's basically one currency backed by all their individual currencies. We have something similar called what's it, the SDR? Is that right? Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's SDR, but they're making theirs and they're using their dollars to back up to get out of the system. So you're seeing this fracture of a second economic system, and I think that system has better fundamentals and is likely to be a lot stronger. And so because the Russian Parliament, the Chinese government, they're trying to back their currency with gold. Now they haven't set a gold standard, but they're buying gold. They have been for the last 20 years, buying up gold and assets. And so they're actually trying to back it with commodities and gold and a health rather than right now. Ours is backed with, right, we've heard it before, the full faith and trust of
So
the
the
federal
federal
government or
government,
whatever.
they just keep printing it.
But none of us have any faith in them anymore. They just keep printing it. They're
Yeah.
blowing it out the water, and they're just going to keep printing more. And I would not be surprised if we find ourselves getting another stimulus right before midterm elections, or at least that little teaser out there,
Mhm.
just like we did last time. So. But anyways, we're going to continue to see the decline of the U.S. dollar at a minimum. Whether the whole world dollars are all collapsing is a different story, but and a different discussion. But the U.S. dollar is going to continue declining because it doesn't have good principles. It's the bottom line. It we are backed by nothing because we're not even a petrodollar anymore because now the Saudis are trading in the
Yeah.
Russian rubles,
Mhm.
and I'm sure they're doing other deals elsewhere.
Yeah.
So we're just not unless we're going to start exporting our oil and our food again, which we are a net exporter of food, although I don't think we're going to be for very much longer if we are right now. But unless we're going to tie that dollar and force people to transact with us in that dollar, for those purposes. But right now, we're not a net exporter of oil. We're not in, and we don't have an energy surplus the way that we did just a couple years ago. So we will continue to see the decline of the U.S. dollar, and I think at this point in time, regardless of what happens with the elections, we're probably going to end up in the boat of too little, too late. So
we're with you, Pete. We have zero faith in our dollars.
Yeah, no, we have zero faith in our dollars anymore. Gold and silver is a great way to store your money, to store wealth, rather than you got $40,000 of cash sitting in a savings account. It'd be probably a lot better with 10 gold coins, and or well, you always need some cash, I guess. So, but keeping your money out of the banks, and the bail-ins. Bail-ins are going to be the next thing, right? As we start to see banks become insolvent, they'll bail in, which means they use the creditors, i.e. you, and you will buy shares of their bank. They'll take your money to buy shares of their bank. You have no choice in this. And so, keeping minimal amounts in banks, keeping it in multiple banks. We have banks that we don't like that we keep money in just for that purpose. We have started switching over to credit unions. Credit unions have a lot better deal. I'm not sure if there's any difference in the susceptibility of bail-ins with credit unions or not. I've been trying to find that out, but I haven't found anything that says that they don't fall under the same regulation with bail-ins. So presumably they're the same. But if somebody knows how that works with them, please let us know, because I'd love to, and send us some information on it, because I'd love to get some information on how bail-ins affect credit unions if they do.
Ninja's done a bunch of good videos on the bail-ins in general, too.
Paramount manager at Wilsonville Power Plant. They only have a week's worth of coal left. They're about to have suggested burn, not gas. Said power bills will double. Wow. So it's really interesting, Lane. Our neighbor here actually he works for Alabama Power, and he said their Alabama Power is usually pretty good about letting them know when they think things are going to be happening and shortages and stuff like that with them. He is not worried at all, which really surprised me about him, because he's like us. But he just said he's not concerned about the power as of this time. He said the one interesting thing that Alabama Power did tell them is that the fuel prices are getting so much that they're going to be going to skeleton crews for driving, because the gas is killing them, and because they have so many fleet vehicles and everything. And so he said they're going to be going to skeleton crews, and they're going to be having people work from home, and they're going to be sending people home because it's, I guess, cheaper to pay them to not work than it is right now to pay them to drive around and just do small tasks that are not absolutely essential. So I thought that was interesting. So he said that they've kind of warned them that might be coming, which I guess is what they did for COVID. He told me he worked, I think he said for 2 months he was at home receiving a full paycheck and not having to work.
Well, and aren't they subsidized, or isn't there power from nuclear energy?
Yeah,
too?
yeah.
So that's a big difference than if it's coal.
Yeah, I know. He was telling me that coal is just becoming so obsolete with power because of all the green energy stuff, and they're relying more and more on the nuclear power. So, and I guess hydroelectric. We have a lot of the dams up at Lay Lake and Lake Martin and everything. But yeah, power. He said the power will stay on. The power bills will explode.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we're kind of planning for that, and that's one of the things that we started doing is trying to make our house more energy efficient. So this is one of the things that that we learned just doing our inspection business, is that if you take an IR camera and you scan a window, and then you put a blind over that window and scan it again, and then you put a curtain over that window and scan it again, you'll see a 30-degree temperature difference each time. So if you put a curtain over your blind, your house will actually stay a lot cooler. And one of the houses I was doing the other day, they just had curtains over the blinds, no spray foam insulation or anything, no high energy stuff, and they were not having to run their AC at all during the heat of the day, simply because they had curtains over it, and they just kept the inside a little bit darker. A lot cheaper to run lights than it is your air conditioning. So keep that in mind. We upgraded our water heater just the other day and put a heat pump water heater in, because they're a lot more efficient, and we're on electric here. But if you guys want to you've got G Lazy P Ranch. Thanks, I appreciate that. So great information. So if you guys look at upgrading your appliances, now is probably the time to start looking at doing that. I know appliances aren't the cheapest thing to do, so it's kind of a hassle. But upgrading those, especially your water heater. Your water heater is the most inefficient appliance in your house, and I want to say it makes up between 25 and 35% of your monthly electric bill.
Wow.
So one of the things that we did too is not only did we put in a higher energy water heater, but we cranked the temperature way down on it. So now when we get in, basically the way we set it is that when we get in the shower, we turned it as hot as we wanted it for the house. And we added about 5 degrees to it. So that way you're not mixing water, because otherwise you're heating water that you're not using. And so yes, you run out of hot water a little bit sooner. So you only got
Just
enough.
plan
Yeah, you only got enough for 2, maybe 3 people to take a shower. So you got to
back to
plan.
back,
You got
back
to
to
plan
back.
back to back. Yeah, but you got to plan a little bit better. But a newer water heater that'll recuperate that energy in an hour, and your water will be hot again. So not the biggest deal, not the end of the world. Yeah. So
Mhm.
Pete, the Matrix said they make propane fridges and RV refrigerators for solar.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's tons of good stuff out there.
Yeah.
DC freezers, DC powered freezers that can run straight off of solar and off of a battery. Um, those are really cool. They are pretty expensive. We had looked into that, and part of me wishes we'd done that.
I know.
If you have propane at your place, there's lots of options. If we had a propane tank here, we'd be on
Mhm.
propane
Mhm.
for the refrigerators and freezers, just to get through power outages and stuff. But those are a great option. I think it's fairly popular in like Amish communities because they don't use electricity, but they are okay with some gases and stuff, depending on how strict an Amish community it is. And let me catch up on the comments here. Um, yeah, so M and J said we just put our water heater on a timer to run
Mhm.
only during the day, but can still take a hot shower hours later at night as long as you don't stand there forever. Yeah, we actually talked about doing that. One of the things is I don't sleep very well, and so I end up getting a lot in the middle of the night, and that's the only
Mhm.
reason we didn't do that is because I get up and I'll go take a shower
Take
or
a
something.
bath.
But um, so Mary asked, "Are credit unions safer than a regular bank?" So for bail-ins, I don't know. That's the question we've been trying to
Mhm.
figure out. Now, credit unions are better than regular banks because at a credit union, you are actually a member rather than a creditor, and they are operated as a nonprofit, and so they don't have the incentives to bail in the way that a bank does.
Mhm.
And so I think they'd be the last ones to go. So we're actually swapping all of our stuff over to a
Yeah,
credit union.
to credit
We'll keep
unions.
our one bank open, but we're swapping everything to credit unions. The other thing that was really interesting is the credit unions. We went down to our local credit union here, and they have a savings account that pays
Yeah.
5.5%. And I can write it. I can take as much cash out as it's money market technically, but I
Yeah.
can take as much
Yeah.
cash as I want out. But it's 5.5%. So if you're going to keep $10,000 in there, at least that under normal times is keeping up with inflation,
Yeah.
or even slightly ahead. Right now, obviously, inflation's getting blown out the water. But so credit unions have a lot better options. And I never realized this, and I never just looked into it. But we were listening to Glenn Beck one day, and he said
Mhm.
something about credit unions, so we started researching it. Credit unions, if you guys start researching them, they are a lot better option, and you are not a number
Just a
there. You're a
number.
person,
Yeah.
and we have her card somewhere. The lady that opened the bank account for us. And she's like, "Yeah, if you get any stupid charges or anything, just call me. I can wipe it and clear it. It's no big deal."
Mhm.
At the bank actually, because
It
theirs
makes
are
an error or
automated. Yeah, if there's an
something.
error, it's really, really easy to fix. So I really, after being on one now for 6 months or so, we
Mhm.
highly encourage you guys to use credit unions.
Mhm.
Um, we have well water storage for on that runs on a small 12-volt RV pump to pull from. It
Good.
can run on
Good.
smaller solar setups. So actually, Pete, that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Wells, guys, deep wells, submersible pumps take a lot of voltage, so it takes a lot of current to pump water from a deep well. So it's really hard to put that on solar. It's a lot easier to buy a cistern and store water up at the
Mhm.
top of the hill. And our property is all downhill, so we have this big hill. It's about 100 feet up from everything, including our house. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to put a cistern up on top of that hill, probably like a 5 or 10,000 gallon cistern, and then we'll pump water up there and then backfeed that down through the
Mhm.
house. And then that way we always have a storage of 10,000 gallons or 5,000 gallons or whatever.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the livestock that we do, you probably don't need that much, but we have the livestock, so we have to make sure we have plenty of water for them. And so that's kind of our long-term plan. It's not where we're at right now. We're still in the process of getting our well up.
Yeah.
As you guys know,
Never
that has
ending
been
progress.
never ending. When the well platform is built and the well pump is going to get hung probably next weekend. But okay, so Rickards talks a lot about bail-ins. He used to work for the CIA, so we'll have to go
Okay.
check that one
Yeah.
out, Lane. Does he have a channel? And I'd love to know a little bit more about the bail-ins and how that works.
Oh yeah. if you like what you're hearing, please hit the like button. Appreciate that, M&J. We always forget to say that.
Oh, somebody said hit the like button.
Right. Yeah,
Oh,
M&J. Yes.
yeah.
Yes, thank
she
you.
reminds me every time. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah, hit the like button. I'm sure all y'all are subscribed because you got the
Yeah.
alerts on the live chat going. But yeah, definitely hit the like button. That really helps push us out. The channel has just been exploding here lately, and we've really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed getting new people on. So really appreciate y'all sharing and liking and everything. Okay, we run a fridge off of a generator because we live off grid. It has actually surprised us. We only have to run generator for a few hours to keep our food. Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
So we had a power outage. We had the hurricane come through here. Was it last year?
I think it was last year.
We lost power for 9 days, and we just ran the generator during the day. And we have a generator backup system for the house. That it's not a permanent generator. It's one that you tote around the farm and plug in. But we got a backup system wired into the house, so that way we can run. It runs our refrigerators, our freezer, our dishwasher, and our coffee pot.
Yes, have coffee.
we can run the washer off of it.
Not the dryer, but
not
the
dryer, but we can run the washer, so we can always hang clothes. But it works really, really well. And so you'd be surprised. You don't need that much power just to keep the food cold. So you could probably K&S clean up. Tell me how long, but I would imagine that if you ran it for 4 hours a day, you'd and didn't obviously excessively open the doors and stuff. I bet you with a good deep freezer, you'd keep that food frozen. We were running it about 8 hours a day when we did that, and everything stayed frozen solid. Never had a problem with it. And in our fridge, everything stayed cold in there, so just didn't have a problem. But we were running it for about 8 hours a day, and so having a good backup generator, guys, is really important. Keep your backup generator on a trickle charger. They tend to drain batteries over time, so buy a trickle charger when you buy yours, and just keep it there. I hardwired mine in, so all I have to do, I have a quick plug on there that I can plug it in. Makes it real simple.
Yeah.
But last thing you want to do is when you've got old gummy fuel in there and you're trying to get it started and you're having to pull that thing, it's going to take you an hour and some ether to get it started. So keep it on keep that battery on a trickle charger. It'll help you out a lot. Okay. The foot and mouth disease. You want to talk about that? Okay. So this was in the UK. They got an outbreak of foot and mouth disease, and foot and mouth disease is very contagious. But unlike like the bird flu, the birds don't, they're flying and everything and moving, and so they can transport that a lot easier. So foot and mouth disease, they're probably going to be able to get this under control. They've got a 10-kilometer quarantine. It's in Norfolk, UK, wherever that is.
A lot of animals being killed.
Yeah, I don't know what the quarantine is going to be. I don't know if they're going to kill them.
I thought they were killing them.
Is that what they're doing?
Yeah.
It's a lot of animals to be killed, and especially when we got shortages right now. And guys, look at it as the U.S. is like a net calorie, right? So the more calories that we have, as a total. So every time these issues happen, even if you don't eat pork, like we have our good, they're Messianic Jewish friends, and they don't eat any pork. And but having a conversation with them, it's like, yeah, but you're still taking somebody else's pork when this happens, and they're going to offset it with beef or chicken, something that you do eat. So, and this has been true with the palm oil shortages and everything. So, just realize that these are serious. Especially this would by itself is not really that big a deal, but when you combine this with 97 food plant, right? 97 is that where we're at right now? 97 food plants that have burned down, which is. There's something weird going on here, but the food plant's going down. We have farms not producing. So everybody knows that Bill Gates bought up like 60,000 acres of farmland, right? So we all heard about that. But I guess I think it was either North or South Dakota. I can't remember now. But one of them, their Justice Department, they have a law that's actually and I'm oversimplifying this, but basically the farmland has to be utilized in active farming for you just to hold it in an estate. You can't just hold it and just have this land just sitting there. It has to be utilized. And so he has to prove right now how he's utilizing that. It'll be interesting to see what happens with that, if he's able to prove it. If he's not able to prove it, I guess he has to sell it. But these guys, the Jeff Bezos, the Bill Gates, are actually buying up a lot of farmland. It doesn't actually look like they're farming it. They're buying it up. And I think they're buying it up to hold it for inventory because they as a way to store cash, because they know what's coming and they know that everything else is going to go down, but the farmland will be the one thing that'll stay up. What?
Mary said Gates's farm is probably producing crickets.
Yeah.
Probably.
I'm sorry. Y'all haven't seen our video on that. We're not eating crickets. I'm not playing that game. Okay, so yeah, we're about 8 hours on an inverter generator. The propane and 12-volt fridge are just way out there on price. Yeah,
Yeah.
they are. We looked into those for a while, especially as we want to take our house off grid,
Mhm.
and it was actually cheaper for. It was going to be cheapest for us just to keep everything on grid for now and buy a full whole house solar panel system. Because
Yeah.
what we really want to do is we wanted to put the well on solar, but it was so expensive to get a solar setup that had the batteries and everything out there to do it. It was just going to be unreal to get that on top of the price of the well, because we were $6,000 to drill the well plus $2,500 for the well parts. And then if we paid to install, we're not paying install. I'm installing
Yeah.
it, but y'all get a video on how to do all that here soon. As soon as we get it all in and done, we'll show you guys exactly how we set that well up. So if y'all want to do that, but I encourage everybody, if you're not living in an HOA that prohibits you from being from having a well, get
Right.
on a well. And I know some of you guys, if you're like in Colorado, I think Colorado, I believe you have to have 35 acres before they'll let you drill a well. And I know like places like Wyoming where the state own, or yeah, I think it's Wyoming where the state owns the water rights. You have limitations on it because you have to apply for your well. Here in Alabama, it's not restricted. We don't have, there's no water rights really here, and there's nothing restricted about it.
Yeah,
Hang
the
on.
red
So
states.
Lori said, how about a hand pump? So hand pumps you can do generally on shallower wells. It would be very, ours is at 230 feet. It'd be very difficult to do that
Yeah.
on a hand pump. The one thing that I would tell you to do is we drilled a 4-inch well. If we did it again, I would do a 6-inch well because that would give you the ability to put a pipe down there. And if had some clever engineering, you could actually get a hand pump, and you'd have to put multiple check valves in there. And it would take you a long time. You'd probably have to prime it first or somehow. And maybe try to prime it with the other well pump. But if you do a 6-inch well, you can feed 2 pipes down there. If you do a 4-inch well, you can probably get it, but it's going to be pretty snug. I think we'd have a hard time getting it down there, getting another pipe in there. But we'll probably try that at some point in time in the future. But I wish we had just done a 6-inch well from the get go.
Yeah, we didn't even think about
But
the space.
so hand pumps are certainly an option if you have a shallower well. And I don't know, you'd have to look up what the limitations are on it. One thing I will tell you is windmill wells. If you live in an area that has a lot of wind, they work real well. I think Dad told me one time that the farm he grew up on in Kansas, they had several of their wells were on windmill wells that would just pump to a cistern, and they'd use the cistern and gravity feed out of that. And the cistern was being pumped from a well that I want to say he told me it was 1,400 feet. Like it was a really deep well in Leota, Kansas. Okay, hang on, let me catch up here. Whole house battery solar. Check out Signature Solar. We're in the process right now. We'll definitely check that out. Thank you. Be about 20K or maybe 23. That's not bad actually. When you think about how long it would take to pay off that system, that $20,000 for a solar system setup is not bad. We have some friend of ours that are really into solar. He has his whole house on solar, and he has found lots of like knockoff distributors that actually build decent stuff. He went down to Texas and bought a bunch of batteries, and he got the solar batteries for like next to nothing. And so there's a lot of options there. Okay, M&J, 8 batteries. So I don't know. I would have to do the math out. I don't know how much that'll last you. How much you can run off of 8 batteries. So it'd be interesting to see how you find that, but and how that works for you. We use a Lorenz system, and it's completely solar powered. It then pumps up to 10,000 gallon storage tank on our hill and uses gravity for PSI downstream. Yep. So Lazy Ranch, that's actually what we were looking at, was the Lorenz system. And I called them. They will not sell to an individual. They'll only sell to licensed well drillers. So they would not sell us the system to install ourselves. We could not find a licensed well driller here that would deal with the solar stuff. They just didn't want to. So
it was hard to find a well driller anyway.
There's only one that would drill in our area. So, and he just wasn't interested in doing the Lorenz system. So that's why we didn't do that. But the Lorenz system also looked like it was going to probably cost us. And tell me if this number is right to you. I think it was going to be like $10,000 more to get everything set up. Post it down in the comment if that sounds right to you. Let's see. More advanced, something to look into.
Yeah, the hand pumps.
Yeah, so Pete, the hand pumps are expensive. One thing you can do with hand pumps, you can actually find them at flea markets, like the old antique ones. And the old antique ones, you can buy rebuild kits for them, and they're not very complicated to rebuild. They're actually very simple. It's basically like a little leather baffle in there, but they're very simple in the way they work. So if you can find one at flea market, sometimes you can find them for like $10. If you go order it, yeah, it's going to be I think there's several, $300, $400, $500, something like that. Yeah, so Pete, as far as the voltage of the system, 48, you can go up and up on the voltage. I think we were leaning on a 48-volt system too, but I will definitely talk to our friends. Like I said, he's very into solar, has this all
Hmm.
calculated out, and so I'll talk to him about it. So $1,500 each for the batteries. Okay, those are pretty big batteries, and
Hmm.
those aren't you're not just using like car batteries or something. So that's yeah,
That's
that
nice.
that's
Good.
that's neat. M and
Hmm.
J, that sounds cool. I wish we had the money to do
I
that. I'd love
know.
to get on solar.
Yeah.
Um, Maybe if we get this video shared enough.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess the last thing to talk about. Okay, I want to talk about the economy and where things are going because so MSN said that the U.S. is poised for a strong second half. Um, it was J.P. Morgan, I think they put out the other day that they feel like our chances of a recession have doubled from a 15% chance to a 30%.
Mhm.
Guys, this is them just kind of calming the waters a little bit. This is not an actual
They don't know what they're talking
complete
about.
thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we are already in a recession,
Yeah.
and because the recessions are looked at in the past, so the second quarter is going to be ending, and they're going to tell us, hey, we're
Oh,
in a
we're in a
recession because
recession.
the recession is 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP. Now, the GDP calculations to me is kind of a worthless number, anyways, for a lot of reasons that we can go into in a
Relate to
different
the
video. But
primary. Hmm.
yeah, the fact of the matter is you don't have to call it a recession and say it's not technically a recession. But when we're paying,
$5 a
yeah,
gallon.
if food is 35% higher than it was a year ago,
Hmm.
and if my wages haven't gone up that much, it certainly feels an awful lot like a recession to me.
And
Um,
inflation is only 9%.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, we all know that inflation is 12 to
Yeah.
15% at a
No.
minimum, but wow, $75,000 for complete system, tanks, install, well, and plumbing. Yeah, so
Yeah.
we're obviously on a lot smaller farm than you. I don't know if you want to post it, but if you want to put that in there, I don't know. Some farmers and ranchers are very cautious about sharing how much land they have.
Hmm.
We're on a small farm here, guys.
Hmm.
Ours is a hobby farm. It's 20 acres.
Hmm.
We make a little bit of money off of. Well, actually, technically, to the IRS, we haven't made anything
Yeah.
yet. It's all been
Yeah.
in equipment, which I think is a lot of farms. So we're hoping that on our taxes, we'll be able to have a profit here in about 2 or 3 more years.
Hmm.
But anyway, so ours is a hobby farm. It's mostly because we wanted to produce good quality,
Hmm.
healthy food for us.
Hmm.
And then in order to do that, you end up having excess, and it's just healthier for the land. We wanted to increase our landscape,
Hmm.
and we wanted to be food independent. And that's our eventual goal is to be able to pretty much raise and do everything that we have and what we want
Garden.
to eat. So
Yeah.
um, there is there's obvious things like we can't produce salt, right? I'm not gonna go down to the
No.
ocean and get hundreds of gallons of salt water to boil down and make salt. So there's certain things that we're obviously going to pay for, but we're trying to get as food independent as possible. We'd
Mhm.
like at the end state to be somewhere between 75 and 90% of our food produced here on the
Yeah.
farm. That's
That'd
that's
be
our eventual
amazing.
goal. But anyway, so I wanted to wrap this up with that, guys. The economy, ignore what they're saying,
Yeah.
because these are the economists that are saying this. For one, they are probably straight out of high school or out of college, and they have an economics degree, and they think they know everything. But we all live in the real world, and we don't get paid a fortune to write these stupid articles that say this, but the fact of the matter is that we kind of operate in the real world, which is really outside of the system,
Mhm.
and so we can see what's going on, and we're not going to have a strong second half of this year.
No.
There's just no way. I mean, and I hate to put timelines on things and say that these people are wrong in their predictions, but I think 100% they are. I
Yeah.
just don't see how we can have a strong second half of this quarter, and I think there's a reasonable argument if you go over to Heresy Financial. There's a reasonable argument that they may be able to get inflation under control right before the election, and at least make it look a little bit better. But as far as the second half of this quarter, there's just no way it's going to be pleasant.
Yeah. No. And
Um,
Pete was saying, go to the Dollar Tree. Everything's now $1.25. So
yeah.
everything's gone up 25%.
Well, Pete made a good point
Yeah.
here. So, guys, make sure you're getting with your local farmers and getting those relationships established. Now, it takes a long time to establish relationships, especially in smaller communities like that, small farming communities. People are standoffish of outsiders, so it takes a while to get in there. Oh wow, Lazy Ranch, 5,000 acres. Wow, that is cool.
Oh,
Been
we're
in
so
the
jealous.
family 100 years. Oh man, yeah, I'm
Oh, that's
jealous.
awesome. Well done.
Okay,
Hey,
yeah.
50 heads of cattle. That's still great.
So
Yeah.
5,000 acres. I don't know where you're at. You must, if you're in the desert. Are you talking about like you're in like the Southwest, like Arizona area, New Mexico, or are you talking kind of like deserty area, like high desert, like Wyoming would be? So that'd be interesting to see. But yeah, 5,000 acres. I know you need a lot more cattle to run on, or a lot more space to run your cattle on that. We can do here. We can do with good rotational grazing. We can get good pasture. We should be able to get 1.5 to 3 cows per acre, which I know where you're at is probably unheard of. But
so he's outside of Zion's National Park.
Oh, that's
Arizona
and Utah. Yeah, that's a great place. I grew up in Idaho, so I'm fairly familiar with that area. I've been camping in Zion's once, but okay. So Canaan cleanup. Yeah, I believe we were in a recession. This is going to be worse than 2008. We don't have the food and gas hikes last time.
You know, it was interesting to me. We've been trying to do some canning, and where we live, I can't find canning supplies anywhere. So I just went into the city, and the Walmart, in Birmingham was overflowing with canning goods. And I'm like, why aren't people preparing? Why aren't they canning? Why aren't they going to their farmers markets?
Well, it's like we talked about in a video a while back about the, we do home inspections. I'm in these houses all the time, and I got a lot of them are moving, and so maybe they have their stuff packed up, but or they're just practicing some sense of OPSEC. But as a general rule, you go into people's houses and there is nothing. I mean, they have like maybe enough food to get them to the weekend. That phrase that we're 9 meals from anarchy, I think it has a lot of truth to it. I don't think we're probably 3 days away, but I think most people have, I don't know, maybe 3 to 10 days of food in their pantry. Most of what I see in their pantries is condiments anyway. So
yeah, nothing.
And those technically food. You're not going to sit there and drink soy sauce and ketchup.
Hey Ben, welcome. Thanks for joining.
They just got all the canning stuff in at Walmart stores. Oh Ben, you missed it, man. We're kind of wrapping up now. But anyways, guys, really appreciate y'all coming on. Okay. Oh yeah, Pete. So Pete said the water issues are really bad at Lake Mead. We've been kind of following them because I know they provide a substantial amount of water for the farmers and everything all around that area. And I don't know exactly what that amounts to, but it is certainly scary how low Lake Mead is right now.
Yeah.
So, guys, make sure you're doing what you can and getting stuff set back, getting your family taken care of. I think now is the time to get a good year's worth of supplies on hand, and to spend that money. And like I said, we are not investing with our financial advisor. We're not paying off our house right now. We are putting all that money.
We're still paying our mortgage.
Yeah, but we're paying our minimum mortgage. And we're using that extra money so that we can get things done here, so that we can buy our toiletry items and stuff for a year out, so that we can make sure that our pantry is stocked for a year out. We're actually doing a pantry renovation right now so that we have a much larger pantry. Ben, so I mentioned pet food earlier. You missed it at the beginning, but that's our next step is actually
next month
to get pet food. And I think what we're going to do is the 55-gallon barrels, guys. You can get the food grade 55-gallon barrels, the little blue ones with the removable top, and those are pretty cheap. It's a great way to store pet food. And what we decided we would do is we would fill one of those. I think is about 6 months supply for us for 3 dogs.
Fill that up.
We'll fill that one up, and the other one we'll just go back to our buy a bag a month type of thing and put it in the other one, and so that way we've always got 6 months on hand. And so as one empties, the other is getting full, and then we just kind of rotate it around. So but that's our goal to go to, and then hopefully long term, as we produce more and more meat here, we'll be able to get to the point to where we're making it. If you guys haven't ever tried making dog food, it's kind of a nasty process. It's gross what they eat. It's kind of disgusting. But I've seen some people that like cook the ground beef and stuff for them. I was like, I'm not cooking for my dog. But anyways, there's some really good ways to make food if you can get the meat cheap. So we're actually going to go next time we drop cows off with our butcher. We're going to talk to them and say, hey, can we come once a month and pick up all y'all's extra offal? Because like the liver, the lungs, the heart, the kidneys, all that stuff, you can run it through a meat grinder and feed it to your dogs. And with that and some white rice and packs of frozen packs of carrots and stuff like that, or stuff that leftover stuff out of your garden that you don't necessarily want to eat, you can run that right through the grinder, and it makes kind of a mush, but it's very well balanced for them. You can buy the vitamins if you're really worried about it. I don't really worry that much about it. They eat
farm dogs.
Yeah, just not that concerned with it. So, but our cat food's up 10 cents a can. I don't have a cat, Ben, but we need a cat. We need a cat for our barn. But yeah, we don't have a cat.
Oh yeah, G Lazy Ranch, P Ranch. Thanks. Yeah, we need to go look you up too. That'd be fun. Maybe do a collaboration or something.
Oh yeah, if y'all got a channel, if y'all got a channel, we have enough subscribers now that if you guys have a channel that you think that we'd be interested in, send us an email and just shoot us a link with the channel name. We love subscribing to our subscribers and kind of seeing what you guys are posting and seeing what you guys have going on.
We're in the car a lot. We listen to videos all the time.
We drive for our job all the time, so we are always listening to videos. I could starve, but not my kitties. I
not our doggies.
We love our animals. Cats are a little bit better because cats are they'll find their own food. I mean, barn cats and stuff like that, they'll find their own food. You let them find your own food, you'll never see cockroaches and rats around your place again. Cats are a little bit more durable in that sense. Dogs can too, to an extent, but anyways, so if y'all have channels, our email is ironsideranchllc@gmail.com. And you can send us, you got to be careful. There is an Ironside Ranch in Australia, and so that's why we have to add the LLC at the end of everything. But anyways, and I think they're dog breeders, but anyway, so you have to but send us an email, and we'd love to subscribe to you guys if you guys have channels that you think fit us and fit what we're doing here that are homesteading channels. Love to subscribe and see what you guys are doing. So definitely send us that. And we, like I said, we're always open to collaborations, doing live streams and doing joint videos with other channels. My rule with joint videos is the way that I always do it. When I do one with financial prepper, Chris Taylor over Financial Prepper or On-Site Trav or anybody, I like to do it to where we record 2 videos, and we record one for your channel and one for our channel, and then we kind of cross promote each other. It works really well. So definitely send us the information if you guys want some collaboration with us. Okay. Other than that,
probably
still chewing on a channel.
Yes, Pete, you got to make a channel. You got lots of great info. We want to see pictures and videos of the lambs being born. But they're so cute.
It is a lot of work, but it's certainly fun. We really enjoy doing it and really enjoy getting on with you guys and doing these live chats. So we will have videos at, like I said, 6:30 every morning, guys. We're doing a video now 6 days a week, and then on Sundays we do our live chat at 1.
Yeah, and if you find interesting articles, email it to us.
Please. We're always looking for stuff to talk about on here, and we can just only scour the internet so much. So if you guys are finding stuff out there that you think is important, send it to us. And we try to get back to everybody. I try to respond to all the comments on YouTube, but we just get so many now, it's hard to stay up with them. But definitely, you guys that I see in the live chats, I always try to make a point to go and comment on what you're saying in there, and just talk to you and keep an open dialogue open. So. Keep an open dialogue going. Yeah, there we go.
Thanks, MJ.
Can we get 10 more likes, guys? Yeah, everybody, before you sign off, please hit that like button. Do it right now.
Please.
Thank you for your compliance to that mandate. All right, y'all. Y'all have a good Sunday, and we will see y'all in the comments, and then obviously we'll see y'all again next Sunday at 1 p.m. Are we going to do it
even 4th of July? I think we should.
Yeah, I think we'll do one. We'll do a 4th of July one. Yeah, we'll do 4th of July is on Monday, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So we'll definitely be here next Sunday, and like I said, 6:30 every day. We should have a video out. I'm so sorry I thought I had one uploaded for yesterday, and I did not. So by the time I realized it, I was like, oh, okay, I guess we'll just do it and post it later. So, but y'all take care, and we will see y'all in the comments. Thanks.